Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Citizens Bulletin. Kim Kennedy here, welcoming you to the program, bringing you greetings of the new year. I'm glad that you can join us, as always. Our program is brought to you by Americans for Prosperity, who encourage you to know your role as a Pennsylvania citizen. Our host this morning is Ashley Klingensmith. Ashley is the State Director for Americans for Prosperity here in Pennsylvania. Ashley, good morning and Happy New Year.
Good morning. I can't believe it's 2020. So glad to be with you. I know, and we've got so much to do this year. It's hard to believe we're halfway through the legislative session in Harrisburg, and goodness, everyone knows about the goings on in DC lately. So there is just a lot of moving parts right now.
So after the holidays, we hit the ground running again, picking up where we left off. Before we jump in to our discussion about the 2020 forecast, Ashley, tell them a little bit about yourself and the work of AFP here in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, well, I just want to start. Maybe there's folks that are tuning in for the first time, and I just want to let folks know Americans for Prosperity works on both federal and state issues. So we are headquartered in Arlington, Virginia, and our Pennsylvania chapter is one of 35 state chapters across the nation. And our vision for Pennsylvania is really one that seeks to improve people's lives. And so you might have heard us maybe say different iterations of that vision along the way. But really what we want is a Pennsylvania with robust free markets where a bias against erecting barriers to opportunity exists, and thriving communities where people succeed by helping others are the norm rather than the exception. And so we have, long been fighting, at the end of the day, if you distill that down, to improve people's lives by breaking down the barriers that government erects. And so we often talk about the different institutions in society, right? You have education, you have business, you have community, and you have government. And at Americans for Prosperity, our work focuses on that government pillar. And we definitely think there is a proper role for government in society, but we do believe it is one that should be limited by the authority that, frankly, is enumerated and outlined in the Constitution. And so we're going to work, as long as we have to try to really pare down Harrisburg's influence over people's lives to kind of chart their own version of the American dream. And a lot of people, maintain the fact that the American dream looks one way, home ownership with a white picket fence. And that simply isn't the case. Everyone has different dreams and different aspirations. Those could be sending their child to, a private school or investing in rental properties. Who knows? But what we're here to do is make it easier for you to achieve those ends with as little government interference as possible. And so we are a grassroots organization. So we do not have a PAC here in Pennsylvania. We work and exert influence and pressure through listeners' voices. And so we have so many different avenues to do that. One is partnering with us physically in person at members' offices or at events that we're doing in your region and in your community. But then we also have a lot of opportunities for digital engagement through our website, americansforprosperity.org, and also through our social media channels. And so
Ashley, can you give us a little more? Can you give us a little more detail? Just not too much, but through digital interaction. Well, can you tell us a little bit more about what that would look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing I want to tell everyone is, and ask everyone rather, is to visit our website, americansforprosperity.org. And at the bottom of that site, there is a banner that says National Concerned Citizen Survey. Click here. And so it is an opportunity for you to share with us a lot of great information about your hopes and desires from your representatives, both at the federal and state level. And so what the background is that we were seeking the opinions of folks from across the country in a bit more of a kind of standardized format, so that we can really do some compilation of what people are wanting out of 2020 and beyond. And so it's really a vehicle for folks to provide a voice and scale their voice rather to our organization, so that we can really try to determine some of the key issues that Americans want addressed. And so I just want to read through some of these questions to get people's minds working this morning. And then, like I said, I'd love for folks to head to the website, or if you simply want me to email this to you, please just shoot me an email, info@afphq.org. So the first thing we ask, how important is it to you that all lawmakers be held accountable to you as a citizen who they're representing? And then we have very important, somewhat insignificant, very insignificant. But the important thing in that question is, how important is it to you that all lawmakers? We are a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization. And so we are not in the business of, frankly, looking at the letter after someone's name. We're in the business of looking at their record. And so the question says all lawmakers. So we want to hear your thoughts on that. How important is it for you to have the ability to contact your elected representatives as necessary? Do you agree that to influence change, you need to be part of a community that is large in size and made up of people who value the same things as you? Do you believe that the often policies at your local and state level have as much, if not more, impact on your life than those at the federal level? In your own words, can you tell us what you believe is best about the direction in which our country is heading? Which kinds of resources, guides, reports, or other resources might you be interested in? And then we have a whole list there. And then just, is there anything else you'd like us to know or consider? And so I really encourage folks to take that survey. I get to see the results. It is very helpful because we're here to represent your interests. You know, it's been said, and I'll never recall who said it or where I read it, but that taxpayers are the most underrepresented, underorganized, special interests of them all. And so we really want you to know, Pennsylvania, that we're here to be your voice in Harrisburg. We certainly look for you to join us in all of the efforts that we're engaged in, but we are here to help scale your voice. And so if we don't know your concerns, it's tough to do that. And so I really encourage people to check that out. Additionally, on the website, if you select Pennsylvania from the state drop-down menu, you're going to see our 2020 state policy priorities. And so I have that broken down into kind of three different subsections. So one are all of the bills that we're going to be working on that relates to economic opportunity. So the vision for that policy portfolio is to empower people to earn success, contribute to their communities, and live meaningful lives. So in that body of work, We're talking about comprehensive tax reform. We're talking about regulatory reform. We're talking about labor reform. And then we're talking about fiscal policy, like the Taxpayer Protection Act. And, that legislation, House Bill 1316, would provide an amendment to the Constitution that provides for Commonwealth spending limits. And so that would be an extraordinary reform to get across the aisle in the House this year. It's already gotten out of committee, and now we're simply waiting on a full House vote. So we're going to be talking to a lot of members about that and hoping to get that across the aisle. But second, that's all of our work in that economic opportunity portfolio. Second, what you'll see is our criminal justice reform priority bills. Our vision for criminal justice reform is that an effective criminal justice system protects people and preserves public safety, respects human dignity, restores victims, removes barriers to opportunity for people with criminal records, and ensures equal justice for all under the law. And so in that vein, we are going to keep working on probation reform and make sure that some of the bills that just got out of the House on December 18th are able to receive a vote over in the Senate. So one of those great bills was House Bill 440, which was an auto expungement bill that provides for just an automatic expungement upon full pardon or acquittal. And that passed nearly unanimously. And the other bill that passed nearly unanimously was occupational licensing reform. And that was House Bill 1477, which requires that all of those various boards in Harrisburg, I believe there's 31 that oversee different occupations, only withhold a license for convictions which are directly related to the practice of the occupation, and that the boards consider the nature of someone's offense, the amount of time that's passed since their conviction, evidence of the applicant's fitness to practice the occupation, and other relevant factors before they ever decide to withhold a license. And as we've discussed on prior shows, what occupational licensing is a permission slip from the government to work. And so we think there is a whole lot more conversation that should go on around occupational licensing reform. But the reality is this is a good first step that really does have a positive impact on folks that are trying to get their life back, on a better track. And then the last kind of area that we have is free expression. And our vision for free expression is really the ability to think, speak, and associate freely is the foundation of a free and open society. So removing barriers to those freedoms are going to enable all of us to participate, in the public discourse. And so we're going to continue working on that anti-SLAPP or strategic lawsuits against public participation legislation. It's often called the Free Speech Protection Act. And then we're going to make certain that that bills like Senate Bill 11 do not ever see a vote or realize a vote in committee, because this legislation misdirects transparency that is supposed to be applied to government to private citizens and
That's
corporations,
right.
which is the exact wrong direction. Anyone that values freedom. Yeah.
Just let me say that is extremely well stated. And kudos to Americans for Prosperity for taking that on. I hope that we will follow up with that and keep us posted. Every citizen who values liberty, if you can't be free to speak your piece, we're in serious trouble. So thank you.
Yeah, amen. Yes. Yes, absolutely. And, I want people to know that it is not lost on me that we have this opportunity every week to sit and talk so freely and openly on on the airwaves, because of the liberty that is enshrined and the protection that's enshrined in the First Amendment. And so, that is something that I think some of us, maybe just take for granted until it's really, truly threatened. And so we are going to work really hard to make sure that does not ever come out of committee. And then additionally, I put together kind of a new Path to Prosperity document, an updated document for 2020. And that really just talks about the fact that, our 4 top priorities generally are, criminal justice reform and ensuring and enhancing public safety in the Commonwealth, continuing to work on economic opportunity, regulatory reform, and really advancing free trade and making certain that most members of our congressional delegation, or all members, first of all, know our point of view on free trade, that we know that free trade drives American progress, creating jobs, fueling small business growth, and supplying people like everyone that is listening, and you and me, Kim, with everyday goods and services at affordable prices. And so we want Congress to reassert its authority over tariffs. And so there are several really great bills. Senator Chuck Grassley has legislation. Senator Toomey has legislation. And we just want to make sure that, hey, if tariffs are ever something to be considered, it's something that needs to come from Congress, which is, what the Constitution demands. And so we're really going to be having a lot of conversations at the federal level about that issue. But if it's okay with you, Kim, I just wanted to also talk just briefly about some of the things I have on my kind of BOLO list to be on the lookout for.
Yes, please do.
So awesome. So these are just some events that I want people to mark in their calendars. It's the first week of January here, and I just want you to get these down. So we are one of the main sponsors of the Pennsylvania Leadership Conference. This is going to be a huge year. Every presidential year is. So please mark down that Friday, March 27th, through Saturday, March 28th, are the dates of this year's 2020 PA Leadership Conference. And through February 15th, you can access the early bird rates. And so do take advantage of that. It is a significant discount, and we want to see all of you there. Our booth this year, we're working on it right now and some of the content there. And we just work really hard to provide whatever our booth theme is, really tangible and meaningful one-pagers and leave-behinds for you to take and deliver to your members of both Congress and the State House and Senate. So we're excited to, again, be one of the main sponsors and can't wait to see you all there. On January 13th, I am going to be releasing our mid-session scorecard. And so we have made that an annual tradition here in Pennsylvania. Some of our chapters do these, some don't. I think it goes a long way to have an annual, updated and refreshed mechanism for accountability. And so you're going to see how I scored different votes and why we did. And then you'll be able to see what member of the State House and State Senate that you are represented by, how they score. And I think there'll be a couple of surprises. I think there'll be a couple of disappointments for sure. But the great thing to know and recognize and understand is that our scorecard is a tool. We want, and it is our daily, desire to increase government transparency. And we know that everyone is busy and not everyone can sit on, the legislative website through Pennsylvania look at votes and figure out where their member fell. And so we really try to make a user-friendly tool for folks to be able to talk with members about their votes. And so, we also want to make sure that the individuals in Harrisburg that are doing the right thing get the credit they deserve. It is not always easy to get out in front and stand on principle and make votes against maybe leadership or in committee against chairman. And we are the first to recognize those people, and those policymakers for taking a courageous and bold step. And so while the scorecard is something you can use for accountability, maybe in the negative, it's also something you can use for accountability in the affirmative. And, I think a lot of times why there's maybe some sense of comfort and just, hey, it's a little easier to just make this vote because I really probably won't hear about it from people. We can change that line of thinking if people start feeling a bit more comfort in calling their members and opening up a dialogue with them. And so again, this should be a tool to help you do that. So I'm going to be in the Capitol Rotunda doing a press conference on the 13th of January. And then as soon as that is complete, our scorecard will go live online, and we will also have a printable PDF version. So I just really encourage people to use that. And let us know if you have questions. Shoot that general inbox a note. Again, it's info@afphq.org, or simply call me. My number is 412-419-8516. But a couple other things. We are going to be hosting a series of welcome home clean slate expos across the state for folks that are trying to really figure out how to navigate the pardon and expungement process and don't really know where to start. We're going to be partnering with the Secretary of Pardons, Brandon Flood, to answer questions. And so I think it's going to be a great opportunity for folks who maybe have a record. And we're also going to have some prospective employers that say, hey, yeah, you deserve a shot at gainful employment, and we're here to give it to you. So the first one of the series is on January 16th in Pittsburgh, and we'll make sure to keep folks updated as we get additional workshops booked. And then the last thing I want to say is that on February 16th, we will be hosting a free trade editorial board. And so we're really excited about that. It will be at a farm in Crawford County. And we're just going to be talking about all of the benefits that free trade has really provided the citizens of the Commonwealth, as well as all of those people across the state that work in the ag industry. And so that's just some of the things going on that I wanted people to jot down on their calendars.
Very good, Ashley. Great stuff. Americans for Prosperity. I think this is the busiest calendar, the most aggressive start that I've heard of in a while, but the times demand it. And we are excited to be a part of it to the degree that we can. I know that you'll be giving us updates each time that we talk, so that you know how it is. There's so much information pressing against us on a daily basis. Before we close our program this morning, Ashley, there are people who I know would want to receive the email policy updates that you guys do. How can they get on that mailing list?
Absolutely. Just go ahead and either call me at the number that I said earlier, which I'll say again, 412-419-8516. 16, or simply shoot me an email, info@afphq.org, and we will add you to that list. Additionally, I'd just like to remind folks, in your neck of the woods, we have an individual, a community engagement director, Linwood Holland. We have Zygmunt Reichenbach in the central northern portion of the state. We have in the northeast, Phil, and in Pittsburgh, Emily Green, and right in the center of the state, Larissa Gahn. And we are here to help you navigate I think the often complex world of Harrisburg and DC, but we're here to partner with you and give you the information you need to be an informed and engaged citizen, because it's not just enough. I call some of my friends diner whiners, or kind of keyboard warriors, right? And it's not just enough to consume information or have information. If
Sure.
you are not activating and engaging, someone else is, with probably a very different idea than yours. And so we're here to help you do that as effectively and efficiently as we can. So please give us a holler, and we are here to stand at your side.
Excellent. Well stated, as always, Ashley. Listeners, you've been listening to Citizens Bulletin with host Ashley Klingensmith, the state director here of Pennsylvania. Ashley, we look forward to visiting with you next week at the same day and time. Listeners, make it an excellent day.